The sweet kick of Kentucky. Our malt master Brian Kinsman patiently waits 14 years as the whiskey matures in ex-bourbon American oak casks. He then finishes the whiskey in deep charred new American oak barrels supplied by the Kelvin Cooperage in Louisville, Kentucky. The result is a rich, sweet, and vibrant single malt that delivers beautifully complex flavors of woody spices combined with ripe summer fruit. It's an expression and a class all its own. So interestingly, this Glenfiddich 14 is aged a lot like bourbon. So it goes into, I believe it initially ages in an ex-bourbon barrel, and then it's finished in a barrel of brand new charred American oak, meaning that it was not previously a bourbon barrel. It was American oak that was acquired, brought over here over there to Scotland, turned into a cask, and then so went into a new cask for finishing. The aroma, I couldn't find awards on this one. I don't know why, so there's no awards to talk about. I'm sure it's won awards, but I just couldn't find a breakdown of awards specifically for this one. But the aroma, deep, vibrant vanilla notes with hints of citrus, caramelized brown sugar and cinnamon, baked apple and ripe summer fruits, and balanced with the rich oaky aromas. I mean, you're going to get a lot. It's kind of bourbon-esque. It's really interesting. I love this one. It's beautiful. The taste, beautifully rich and sweet with layers of creamy toffee, woody spices, candied orange peel, and fresh toasted oak. And, of course, the finish, that long-lasting and lingering sweetness. There's a lot to be said. It's a Scottish whiskey aged like a bourbon. It doesn't have the corn. It just has that single malt barley. It's interesting. I love it. All right, moving along. Number 7, Dalwhinnie 15-year. The Dalwhinnie 15-year. Oh, and the Glenfiddich I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention that is I believe that should be a Speyside. I'm 99% sure Glenfiddich is a Speyside. Moving along. Now, this one, the reason I mentioned that Dalwhinnie, there is a lot of confusion, and I couldn't really even get to the bottom of it, whether it's considered a Highland or a Speyside. Keep in mind, for some of you that might not know this, this Speyside is a region within the Highlands. Okay, so anything that is a Speyside is technically made in the Highlands, but in terms of producing products, the government likes to have that specific pinpointing of what regions it's from. The bottle itself calls it a Highland, but there are places that do that where it says on the bottle Highland whiskey, like Macallan. Macallan is clearly a Speyside, but on the bottle it just says Highland whiskey. And I found other places that said this is a Speyside. So it's in the Highland region, and it may or may not specifically be a Speyside, just close to that area. But anyways, Dalwhinnie 15-year is aged in Oloroso sherry casks. So aged in Oloroso sherry casks. And Jim Murray awarded this 95 points in his Whiskey Bible, which he says is an excellent value for the money. The flavors are simple but flawless. A clean, crisp 15-year-old from the Dalwhinnie Distillery, which is also part of Diageo's classic malts range. So Diageo has I think there's like 6 different scotches in their portfolio that they call specifically those 6 they call their classic malts, and Dalwhinnie 15 is on there. Dalwhinnie 15 is and I think the branding calls it a gentle spirit, but it is a very gentle Scotch, a gentle spirit. And this is a great starting point. I mean, it's got a nice sweetness. This is one for the ladies. But I always say that Glenlivet, like the Glenlivet, I can't remember the 10 or 12, but a Glenlivet is usually a good starting point for someone to try Scotch. But I mean, and that's because it's so readily available. I mean, if there's really is a true great starting point for someone to just try Scotch, see if they can get into it, Dalwhinnie is an excellent place to start. As I mentioned, it was Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible. In 2014, it won the Liquid Gold Award. San Francisco World Spirits Competition won the 2013 gold medal for 13 to 19-year-old single malts. Scotch Whisky Masters, it won the 2013 Gold Award for Highlands and Islands Scotch in the range of 13 to 18-year-old Scotches. International Wine and Spirit Competition, the 2017 Silver Medal for Highland Single Malt. International Whiskey Competition, 2015, it won third place for best single malt in the 13 to 17 year range. Now, the aroma is very aromatic, toffee, fruit, nectarine. It's floral, apple blossom, honeysuckle, apple peels, pear, and just a just a whiff of a light smoke just to kind of round it out. The taste is malty, walnuts, steeped in Manuka honey, which is always a great note. When something can give you a note of Manuka honey, it's just a winner for me. And vanilla. Like I said, a gentle smoke weaves through with a touch of cereal and a touch of spice. And the finish is long, malty, walnut, and almond. Moving right along. Number 6, Glenmorangie 10-year. This is a Highland single malt. It's aged in first and second fill American ex-oak or ex-bourbon white oak cask. So what that means is they procure Glenmorangie. Glenmorangie, I gotta get that right. Glenmorangie procures former bourbon barrels, and they'll use them twice. So I think they fill up bourbon barrels for the first time, and then they have other ones. It's now their second run, and then I believe they marry them together to keep the consistency. As far as some awards, the Scotch Whisky Masters 2013 Master Award for Highlands and Islands of up to 12 years. The International Wine and Spirit Competition, it won the 2017 and 2014 Gold Award for Highland Single Malt. San Francisco World Spirits Competition, it won the 2013 Gold Award for Single Malts up to 12 years. The International Spirits Challenge, it won the 2014 Silver Award for Single Malts 12 years and under. On the aroma, a very fruity, very thick and fruity, rich notes of lemon, nectarine, and apple and spices. On the taste, fresh and balanced vanilla, sweet, creamy, tiramisu, and toffee. And on the finish, a long finish, gentle, malty, and very fruity. Number 5, the Macallan 12-year, and this would be the 12-year sherry oak as opposed to the fine oak. So on my list, my go-to Macallan is this Macallan 12-year sherry oak. As mentioned previously, Macallan is a Speyside. This is aged for 12 years in a sherry cask. The awards are many, so once again, skipping the awards. Aroma, crisp and sweet. There are notes of fresh apple blossom, floral notes, sherry hints, tropical fruit, golden syrup. The taste, it's a medium body taste, but quite firm. There are notes of hot pastries and marmalade, fruit peels, and some barley sugar. And on the finish, a good long finish with a solid oaked note. Now, getting into the final 4, and starting our final 4, the Dalmore 12-year. Launched in late 2008 to replace the previous 12-year-old, this single malt from the Dalmore distillery is a toasty, coffee-rich dram with beautifully spiced notes and a thick mouthfeel. Very rich for a 12-year-old. This is another Highland. It's matured for 9 years in American white oak ex-bourbon casks. Then what is aged in that barrel is divided. Half of it stays in that barrel, and half of it goes into this is exclusive. So it's matured for 9 years in an American white oak ex-bourbon cask. Then it's divided. Half of it stays in that barrel, and half goes into a 30-year-old Gonzales Bias Matusalem Oloroso sherry butt. That's a mouthful. So anyways, half of it stays in that ex-bourbon barrel, half of it goes into a very rare and unique Oloroso sherry cask. And this is all the gentleman, his name's Richard Patterson, I believe is his name. But boy, he's an expert in casks. International Wine and Spirit 2017 silver medal for Highland single malt Scotch. On the aroma, a warm coffee, roasting beans, espresso, nuttiness, malt, cereal, butter, orange. It's got a great aroma. Taste, great taste too. Marmalade, triple sec, winter spices, fruitcake, cocoa, and milk chocolate. And a finish that's a medium finish with notes of orange. And now we are down to the final three. Oban, 14-year. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful Scotch. This is a Highland, and they like to mention quite often that it's a West Highland, but this is a Highland Scotch. As far as some of the awards, Scotch Whisky Masters 2015 Master Award for Scotches in the 13 to 18-year-old. The International Wine and Spirit Competition 2013 Gold Award for Highland, and it won the Gold for Island. And then as well as 2017 Gold Award for Highland Single Malt. International Wine and Spirit Competition 2014 Silver Award for Highland Single Malt. San Francisco World Spirits Competition 2013 Gold Award for Single Malt in the 13 to 19 year range. Oban is just one of those. It's a Scotch that really just brings in everything. Of Scotland, I think, of Scottish whiskey. If you appreciate Scottish whiskey, I think you have to appreciate Oban 14. It's got, earthiness. It's got sweetness. It's got some peat. It's got some smoke. It's got some sea and malt and all of that. It's a wonderful Scottish whiskey, and it's a wonderful blend of all of the characteristics that make up different types of Scottish whiskey. So, on the aroma, rich and smoky with notes of the sea, hay, wood, and smoke. The taste is citrus with smooth sweetness, some smoke, sea, cereal, and malt. Finish, dry, oak, and fruit. It's just wonderful. Now, the top two. Number 2. Balvenie Doublewood, 12-year. This is a Speyside. It's initially aged in ex-bourbon casks, and then it's finished in first fill European oak sherry casks. Scotch Whisky Masters gave it 2015 gold medal for Speyside single malts up to 12 years. International Spirits Challenge. It won the 2014 gold medal for single malts 12 years and under. The International Wine and Spirits Competition gave it the silver medal for Speyside Scotch single malts in 2013, 2014, and 2017. The aroma, nutty, spices, honey, grapes. Taste, gentle spice, vanilla, hint of peat, dried fruit, nuts, nutmeg, and cinnamon. The finish is spicy, slightly drying, but pleasantly sweet. And folks, that brings us up to my number 1 Scotch. The only brand to make the top 10 list twice. Glenmorangie. And folks, it's the Glenmorangie Nectar D'Or 12-year. Again, this is a Highland Scotch. This specifically is the 10-year original, aged for an additional 2 years in very unique and rare French Sauterne casks. It's also a non-chill filtered Scotch whiskey. It won the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. 2017, it got the Double Gold Award, which was an improvement over the 2016 Gold Award. The aroma is lime and orange rind dates with a rich, fruity flavor with spices of coconut and nutmeg. Doesn't that just sound wonderfully pleasant and so much different than everything else? It's the reason that this stands out. The taste is ginger, nutmeg, toasted almonds, lemon meringue, and honeycomb. And nothing goes better with a lemon meringue pie than a dram of Glenmorangie Nectar D'Or. Glenmorangie. Got to get it right. And finally, the finish, long and sweet with lemon zest, white chocolate, vanilla, ginger, and nutmeg. and that's my number one, the Glenmorangie Nectar D'Or 12 years. So just a quick recap, and we'll shut it down for today. The whiskey that I just had to mention that should have been on the list, but I didn't because